Hey 20s, by now you've probably heard many speeches for our class. Athletes, celebrities, politicians, all have attempted to give us some words of encouragement and inspiration during these very troubling times. Since I'll not have nearly enough time in our online commencement to deliver something that I believe will be very meaningful to you all, I've prepared this piece that I hope you will listen to. While it may not be initially as inspiring or motivational as some of the class of 2020 speeches you have already heard, I believe it is the most appropriate message as we look forward to our future. Things are going to get worse, much worse, before we make it better. This message may sound dark, pessimistic, or unfitting, but I ask that you stay with me as I discuss how we might create some source of hope for a better future. A few months ago, coronavirus cut our lives short. In the middle of what was supposed to be the glorious last lap of the most defining race of our lives, we were suddenly broken apart and sent home with no chance to say formal goodbyes and no clear understanding of what our futures would hold. Amongst the hundreds of thoughts and emotions that have overwhelmed me these last couple months, one big question has by far been the most worrisome. Will we be ready? This pandemic is just a preview to the many problems we will face much sooner than many of us would expect. Catastrophic events and phenomena that will have massive global implications. Pandemics, political conflicts, world-changing climate events that will not discriminate by race, religion, or political party in their destruction of the human race. So I ask you again, will we be ready? They say united we stand and divided we fall. I recognize the painful irony of this phrase, a phrase made popular during a time of war and is so closely tied to the history of a country that in fact embodies the harshest realities of a divided people. Yet despite the painful ironies of this phrase, it cannot describe our current situation more accurately. We as a global community have not stood in a while, and our fall will continue to increase in speed. The way things are going, we are definitely not ready. And this is because we've lost the ability to listen to those that don't look like us, worship like us, act like us. To listen to something that might challenge what we view as true and right. To listen to new perspectives that won't necessarily force us to abandon our own, but could work in conjunction with our own, to give us a more complete understanding of our collective human state. We are just too cowardly to open our ears and listen. And because of this, we've lost the ability to think independently of the bondage of our past biases, prejudices, and limited experiences. To think outside the box of what we think we know, and to seek understanding of the uncomfortable unknown. To think of others as more than sidekicks and villains in our superhero story, but as individual, independent characters in their own. And finally, we have lost the ability to love. In order to justify our irrational, tribal urges, we find every reason to hate our neighbor. We seek refuge in the suppression of those who lack the voice or the resources to fight back, and we code this hate into our political and economic systems to ensure the maintenance of this suppression. This human race is lined with hate. This hate that has continued to close our minds and hearts to our neighbors will create massive problems for mankind. This hate will prevent us from coming up with collective solutions to the problems that we, yes, we all as a result, will inevitably face in the future. If coronavirus has taught us anything, it is that pandemics will be fast and they will be lethal. They won't wait for our politicians to determine whether the current one is a hoax. They won't wait for us to prepare our medical and economic sectors to provide everyone with proper care, not just those most privileged. And they won't wait for us to finally swallow our pride and work together to fight back. And in the coming decade, more than 250,000 people are predicted to die each year from climate change. While we've chosen to argue its reality and ignore our impending doom, we continue to destroy our only chance at long-term survival. I mean, how can we even attempt to find a collective solution to a problem this large if we cannot even get everyone to swallow their political pride and accept its existence and urgency? When our planet deteriorates, there will be no political parties, no corporations, no people. We will all be dead. By now you're probably wondering why I chose to deliver such a pessimistic message during what is intended to be a celebratory time. Forgive me for not feeling too enthusiastic after having been sent home, missing senior spring, listening to Zoom lectures every day with unstable Wi-Fi. The reality, however, is that we don't have much time for celebration. We, unfortunately, do not have that luxury. If we as a global community do not act quickly, we won't be here for much longer. So I'm not here asking you to go change the world, as that would be a little too cliche. But I'm urging you to save it. Let's be different. In our offices, in our labs, in our communities, let's be more intentional about listening to the advice, opinions, and ideas of individuals who don't think like us or see the world like us. Let's listen to the colleague in the meeting room who doesn't speak the same way that we do. Let's listen to that researcher who doesn't pray to the same deity or deities that we do. And finally, maybe hardest, let's listen to the neighbor who may not fill out the same bubbles that we will when it comes time to vote. Because when we do this, we have a chance to think with added perspective, to think about innovations and products that will not just bring our businesses profits, but will empower and enhance the lives of those individuals frequently made to feel weak. To think about scientific breakthroughs, public policies that will not just touch the lives of those most privileged, but reach those most marginalized. And when it comes time for us to lead humankind through the great battles we will inevitably face in the future, we will be ready to stand hand in hand with our neighbors, despite our differences, to preserve this human race. Because if MIT has taught me one thing, it is that with great minds and true collaboration, no problem is too difficult to solve. And above all, let's all, you and I, be catalysts for love. Let us seek to eradicate all systems and perpetrators of hate in our society and stand in solidarity with anyone from anywhere who shares our same love for humanity. 2 months ago, we came together as a class and made what we could of our last days on campus. Seniors of different ethnicities, religions, experiences, all came together to mourn our sudden separation from our home and to celebrate our final moments on campus. In these moments, I saw hope. Hope in our ability to love those who aren't like us, and hope in our ability to come together as a community to endure collective hardships. Let this be a lasting example of what we are capable of, and let's work to instill this same love into our society. It's called Listen, Think, Love. You know, many already are trying to define our class, the class of 2020, as the class of the virus. The class that lost everything to it. The class that'll enter into a broken world because of it. But I say, let's fix it. Let's not be remembered as the class of the virus. Let's be remembered as the class of the cure. Thank you.